Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. You know I like bright colours. I absolutely adore bright colours. So when it comes to neons or glow in the dark, they're my favourites, okay, because they're bright. Lightwish contacted me recently and said, would I like to try their UV glow in the dark? And I thought I'd love to try it. So let's have a look at the Lightwish UV glow in the dark resin and see how quick it cures and what it looks like and how bright it glows. So this is the glow in the dark UV resin set from Lightwish, and all the links will be in the description box below, and they are now available on Amazon. The colours are sky blue, green, orange, dark yellow, light yellow, pink, purple and white. All the lids come separately and you have to take off the protective film before you can put the lid on and use them. Now, even if these colours don't even glow in the dark, I'm still excited that these are bright colours regardless of the fact that they're meant to be glow in the dark. So let's have a quick try of these colours. Now, I'm quite surprised that white is in here for a start, but the colour I'm really looking forward to is purple, but we'll get to that. I'm just going to use this seahorse mould that I made in a previous video, and I'll link that video in the top right hand corner so you can see how I made this, because you can make it yourself. And I'm going to add all of the colours in little patches throughout the seahorse. Now, this is a clear mould, and sadly the first colour I put down was white and you can't really see it. But this orange is really bright, isn't it? Bright, it looks so sweet. So the next colour I'm going to use, I think, is the dark yellow. Yeah, it's the dark yellow. Again, a really bright colour. Then we've got the light yellow. Now, I did think about merging these colours together, but I really wanted to see what they're like separate, but together. I do like the pink, and the orange is rather nice. But look at that, purple. I do apologise about my hair. I am peering into this to make sure I get the UV resin in the right place. So this one is the sky blue, and then we have the green. And luckily for me, it's more of a turquoise. And that's all the colours. Once I've filled it up and I've made sure that it is up to the lines of the mould, then I use my Let's Resin curing station and cure it for 5 minutes. And they are so bright. Look at that, how bright they are, regardless of whether they glow or not. So let's charge it and see what it looks like in the dark. I'm going to use a UV torch to charge these. You don't have to. Daylight charges them, but it gives it a boost so that we can see it on camera quickly. And I'm really gutted about the purple not shining very much. Okay, so let's try something different. I've printed out a trick-or-treat sign and I'm covering it in a very thin acetate film. Now, I figured if I could use the UV resin on top of this, I could draw out the design in the UV resin and have a UV trick-or-treat sign, which will be a glow in the dark. So that was my plan here. I didn't know how easy this UV resin would spread. So I didn't put it straight up to the line, and I used a tool just to ease it up to the line of the letter. Now, I've been wanting to try this type of technique for quite a while, and this gave me a good opportunity to try it out. And after I did a couple, I knew that I would start smudging it if I didn't cure it slightly. So I got the UV torch out and I just went over it to make sure it didn't move. I gave it a quick spot cure. I am surprised though how hot it got. So onto the purple, and I'm doing the eye, and then the pink for the sea. And I'm starting to think that the plastic isn't laying very flat. That's why I'm trying to flatten it out with my hand. But again, after doing 2 letters, I give it a quick flash cure, just for a few seconds. But it is really hot to touch when it cures. really hot. I know that UV resin gets really hot when it's curing because that's the process it does, but this is getting extremely hot. And as you can see, the acetate is starting to go out of shape. I carried on regardless and I did all the letters. I was determined to do this sign one way or another, so I thought, you know what, we'll have to figure something out later. But when it got to the A, it was so distorted that the A just went all over the place. It was completely out of shape. The E was out of shape. Everything was out of shape. So this was not going to plan. However, I took it off the paper and I still cured it up for 5 minutes, then realised that they just popped off of the acetate really easily. Okay, so we kind of have a sign, but we don't. I still wanted to see what they looked like when they glowed in the dark. So I charged them, and again I'm disappointed with the purple. The purple just didn't glow very well at all. Now I did ask Lightwish about the purple, and apparently the darker the colour the less it will glow. So that's why it doesn't glow too well. But regardless of whether it glows, it's still a lovely colour. So as I still wanted to make my sign, I thought I'd try it again, but this time with a 2mm piece of acrylic, also called Perspex, I believe. I think they're the same thing. So I used the same trick or treat sign and I cut round it to make sure that it's the right size for the acrylic sheet, and I'm going to tape it to the back of the acrylic sheet to hold it down. I know it's only summer still, but you know, I am pining for those Halloween videos. I do love using the Halloween graphics and making them fun. I'm so looking forward to that this year. So that is why I decided to do this trick or treat sign. Also, I think that glow in the dark works really well for trick or treat. It's just perfect for it. So I did exactly the same as I did with the previous one, but on the acrylic sheet instead. Of course, the acrylic sheet is sturdy. It's not a really thin piece of plastic that will warp with the heat easily. So it's going to give me a nice sturdy background. And it was a lot of fun to do this. But you can see the steam as I put the torch on that. You can see how hot it gets, and it really does get hot. Once I'd finished the letters, I thought the purple was going to work well with the bats and the piece in the middle, because I planned to put the white around the whole piece so the bat would then become a negative void sort of area when it's glowing. And I'm liking how colourful this is. Now here's where I went a little bit wrong. This first part of the white that I'm putting down between the letters, I'm spreading out really thin. Word of warning here, to get this to glow well, it needs to be quite thick. The letters are quite thick, but as I'm spreading out the white in between the letters, I'm thinning it out. Now I did go round the entire piece with the white, but that first bit was spread out. The rest I kind of plonked down and left. Now I've got to be honest, at this point I was thinking, yes, this really looks cool. I really love how this is coming out. It just looks the way I wanted it to. So once I've done the whole thing, it's time to take the paper off the back and see what we're left with. It's pretty flat. The acrylic sheet has done what I wanted it to. It's slightly bent, but it is very, very slight. So I'm going to tape it down to give it a good 5-minute cure with my curing station. And I want to tape it down to make sure it doesn't bend anymore. Now it is kind of cured, but only slightly. So I'm going to give it a good cure, front and back. And I do move the curing lamp around while it's curing too. Once I've done the front, I take the tape off, turn it over and do exactly the same on the back. All resin, UV resin, 2-part epoxy resin, shrinks while it's curing and it will bend. I've done videos on temporary tattoos using UV resin and it bends. all resin shrinks back when it's curing, regardless of the type that you're using. So then I decide to give it a good charge with a UV lamp and see what it looks like in the dark. And this is where I see I've messed up with spreading the white out in places and not in others. It looks perfectly fine until you see it glowing. Now I decided to try and take it off of the acrylic sheet. This wasn't a plan to start with, but I figured that it would come off. So I bent and twist until it was off, apart from one little place that got stuck. There's always one, isn't there? And it cracked it, just slightly, which again was very annoying, but I know I can fix that kind of issue. And I wanted to give it another couple of layers of resin anyway to make it a little bit more solid. So I used a tool to get it off of the acrylic sheet. Just that one little bit had got stuck. I'm guessing there must have been something on the acrylic sheet itself to keep it from letting go. I had used this acrylic sheet before. It wasn't brand new, so it could have been contaminated, but I did give it a good clean, so I thought it would work. But it cracked it slightly. Never mind, that can be fixed. So I put some tape over the cracked areas, and knowing that that would raise the level, I decided to put the tape around the edges as well so that it would sit flat for me to cover the front with some Let's Resin clear UV resin. And that hopefully will give it a nice flat surface and hold it together where it cracked. So I went over the entire piece with just a thin layer, spread it all out with a silicone tool, filled in any lumps or bumps or areas that I missed, and I cured it up. I made sure I got rid of any surface bubbles with a long neck lighter, and then I popped it under the curing lamp for 5 minutes. Well, this project definitely did not go according to plan, but I've learned, and hopefully you've learned from my mistakes too. The Lightwish colours are bright and colourful, even the purple, but the more you spread them out and the thinner they are, the less they will glow. The very first piece I made was the seahorse, and that shows these colours off best. Well, I hope you've got something out of this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting. And bye for now.